Here we go.
All right. I do not see any public to comment here, so I think we can go right by that.
Who's on BC?
What's that?
Who's got on BC Computer?
That's me.
Oh.
I had to do a little work around IT.
Oh,
I'm
all right.
working from home. So I gotta switch over something. So
Upcoming projects. Anything for that, Bruce?
no, I left it open for you guys because again, I had to cut the meeting short last time. I had to go to that ADRC meeting, so I know we had a long list you guys were starting to work on. So I felt like this is a good thing we could do to get started and go over what we want to continue to do. So,
Do you want to just bring that list back up on the screen?
The spreadsheet, sure.
Yeah, that'd be great, Andrew.
oh, I'm gonna make you co-host. Hold on. Participants, come on.
I emailed, submitted a town thing asking about the 2018 traffic study, and Brian Rush wrote back. And so I also asked him about Office 365 and Teams for the group. He said that all town employees and also town council members have a login, and we can create a project page on that.
Okay. I guess I should know what that is then.
So Microsoft, with an Office membership, you've got a program called Teams.
Yeah.
It competes with Zoom, but what it also has is a couple add-ins. One is a tasks page, which is pretty good for some light project management. You could set up different projects on there, chats back and forth, invite people that aren't part of the town to join it, set deadlines, assign things. It's pretty handy for project management without having to go nuts on doing like MS projects or something like that. It's a step up from a spreadsheet, but the spreadsheet works too.
Yeah, I'll try to figure out what my password is. I'll call Brian and figure out how I can get on. Bruce, do you know how to use Teams?
We don't use it a lot. I mean, I've used it for some meetings and stuff like that, but that's about it. We don't get into it that much.
That's all right. I'll check it out. Shh.
All right. Dogs are invited.
That would be my dog.
Great, bring him on. He's probably got a lot to say.
Oh yeah. She wants more running paths than riding paths, but
yeah, dog park.
It's multi-use. So, all right. So are you guys seeing my spreadsheet?
Yes.
Yep. What we started before, and I can also reprioritize these. I just added sequence numbers in here so we can say, hey, when it gets busy, we're doing number 5 water fountains or something. So first was getting the Board of Ed member on the Bike Advocacy Committee to develop school programs. Ron, you were pretty dogged at getting someone to reply, and you successfully did. What's the latest with that?
So I passed that over to CJ.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Andrea, who you spoke to, right? It was Andrea?
Yes.
Okay, I'll reach out to her and I'll get through to her before next week.
Yeah, even if it's just an appearance of 15 minutes per meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's fine.
Good.
And so
that's the wrong one. Oh.
So the goal for the Board of Ed member is the priority safe routes to schools or the bike to school days, or what's our goal with that? So when we get somebody, we want to be able to say, hey, this is what we want to accomplish.
So the big project was getting what did we have it? 5th grade bike safety curriculum, at least a trial type into the school system. And there was a lot of buzz, and then it kind of hit a wall.
Okay.
For different reasons.
Okay.
But I think there's enough excitement to be able to at least reopen the talks.
Yeah, I saw Hartford on Facebook. They're doing a bike build day at one of the breweries for the first graders. And then I saw in Winding Trails, I think in their budget was $2,500 for bikes. So I don't know what that means.
Really?
So if anybody's involved with Winding Trails, maybe we have access to that, or at least can score that for the bike.
Well, we definitely have willing phys ed teachers in CJ, what's the name of the school? Because I get it wrong all the time. Westwood.
Are they at Westwood School? Yeah.
Right. If they're still the same staff.
Yeah, and the other thing I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, I'll have to get details, and Andrea would probably know more than I. They're going to have some, I don't know whether it's a club, a class, or what, who will be building bikes. So we can get details on that. I would say that probably the big three things that we can work with Andrea on is, or Andrea on, is getting them in a curriculum, the bike to school, and find out what our involvement could be with the group that's building bicycles.
Okay, because we do have access to Bike Walk Connecticut too, and they will come out the first time.
Okay.
I have everything written down somewhere. All that I sat in on a seminar with them in South Windsor. So
You know, so bike to school, you think April, every school can have one?
well, no, I don't know if every school can. So we
Okay.
know Union can and can almost run that themselves. Why can't I remember his name? Phys ed teacher.
Chaves.
Yeah.
I always thought it was Chavez, but my 5-year-old says it's
Right.
Chaves.
So that will be no problem. We've done it what, CJ, 4 times maybe?
Number of years, at least 4 times, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I know you have connections with what is it?
Caitlin Eckler is the principal there, and she's really into it.
Okay, but the school that your child goes to, or
Union.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a different school.
It was Noah Wallace last year, preschool. But
Oh, all right. So it would just be on a school-to-school basis. We would just go in, a couple of us, and talk about what we'd like to do.
And so
And
the board of ed person, our goal for them is to get it on the official curriculum, so the schools have to do it. That's our
No.
goal.
The bike. Okay, so 2 different things. The bike to school day is a separate component from the bicycle safety program.
Yeah.
The curriculum. Yeah. The bike to school is like CJ and I went into Union and spoke with the principal at the time, and Mr. Shaves, and we just worked it from there.
All right.
And then we contacted Farmington Police Department, and we mapped out the routes, and
Okay.
and then year after year, we did less and less, really. And they came up with their own after ride little event, food for the kids, and so really all you just need is a motivated phys ed teacher and a motivated principal or another teacher, and we're good to go.
So if we want to get as many of the schools doing it as reasonable, do we need to talk to each principal there before February or something? Like, how much time does it take, or is it pretty easy?
Well, I would say 3 months lead
February is
time.
probably a good time.
Okay.
Say that again?
I would say by the end of February would be a good time frame.
Okay.
I mean, if you get it in by then, you've got March, April, May.
Yeah. Obviously, some schools will be harder to map out
Sure.
route, and we may have to have temporary bike lanes. The police department has been just unbelievable
Awesome.
with their support for this. They held up traffic on Route 6, right, CJ? For the
Yes, they
Westwood.
did.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
Oh
We
my
just
God,
thought we were gonna wait
get
for the
that.
traffic light. They just said, nope, you guys keep coming. We'll stop the cars.
yep.
That's cool.
And
So-
that was a great success too.
Yeah. So you said there's 3 things? Or is the third one safe routes to schools?
No, the other one was the bicycle building program, but safe routes to
Okay.
schools would probably go up ahead of the bike building program.
Now, what's the bicycle building program about?
I don't know much other than the superintendent just told me they have a group in the high school that will be building bicycles. And I don't know who's organized them. I don't know I haven't gotten any details yet. So I've got to find out some details on who is doing that. But that would seem like a pretty good connection with us. So
Okay.
It sure would. As far as reaching out to, younger, to high school age kids, and maybe even get one on this board or on
Yeah.
Bicycle Friendly Farmington.
right.
That'd be awesome to delegate some of the school stuff to a high schooler that's motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I'd love
actually-
to see a bike club at the high school for sure. It's, we had one back in the 70s, if you can believe it. But the other thing is that, CJ, when you know who's doing what to whom with that project, let me know, please, because I know, I mean, basically everybody in the state, the premier program for that is high school and above at BCCO in Hartford.
Yes.
They do a phenomenal job, and at the end of the course of instruction, the kid gets the bike they build, and it's a
Can I
really
join the club?
yeah. Well, it's a really cool program, and we should think about stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
you know
And Bruce, tell me if I'm wrong, but they also get lights, a helmet,
yeah, they do
everything to keep them safe out on
Yeah.
the road.
some tools. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a really cool program.
Yep, that's Tony.
Yeah, we've donated bikes to BCCO before. And, if it's not a high-end enough bike for them to sell, it usually goes to the Bikes to Jobs,
Yeah.
where the earn a bike, where the kids pick it
Yep.
and, get to keep the bike,
Mhm.
overall.
Yep.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
one of the problems, and I'm sure you know this, is that there's a whole raft of bicycles out there that are kind of, $250 and below, that basically are Chinese Walmart specials, and you can't really fix them. That pieces break off, and they're literally bespoke because they're so cheap. and so that's the kind of stuff that they don't want. Yeah, you're right.
I feel like this program you're talking about, CJ, is actually building a bike from scratch, no?
That's what it sounded like they were talking about. That's
Like
why I
you
gotta
actually-
find the details.
Cut tubes, weld the frame together, and
Yeah,
I would
bracing.
love-
I know a few frame builders in the area, but
Yeah, bracing
Yeah,
the frame is not for the faint of heart. That is
Yeah.
that is not easy.
I got.
Yeah, I'll have to get more details on that, but I'll let you guys know when I find something out.
Okay. I have a feeling Rich would be interested in something like that too. Seems to be up his alley. Okay, what do we have next?
As far as I know, no movement on getting the police department to be coming to all the meetings or regular meetings, but we'll keep working
And
on that.
again,
No,
it would just be, doesn't have to be the whole meeting. It could be 15-minute kind of Q&A type, ask
I
them.
being
What are
respectful of
questions
everybody
last
on
time?
it.
Well, instead of asking somebody to be on the board, why don't you guys just get somebody from the PD that we can use as an advisor? That would be fine. Then if we
Yeah.
need them, we can bring them in.
Yep.
I'll talk to him. I think the whole thing is, and that kind of falls into one of the other items on the agenda is with regarding the meeting schedule. So we have to work out a meeting schedule. So until we know what we're gonna do with that, then we'll know how often they could be there. So
Okay.
Is there a designated community officer?
Yes,
yes,
I know Simsbury and Avon and Hartford in particular, that's usually the person they pick to be the liaison.
yeah, they've got a brand new guy doing that role this time around.
Mhm.
I used the other guy, I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head, but he was working with me with the bike race last year, but he got rotated out and there's a new guy in that position.
Is
Okay.
Zach doing that now, Matt? Is it
Who's that?
Zach that's Zach?
I don't know.
No?
hold, give
Okay.
me a second. I'm looking it up as we're talking. It's Jimmy Stone, I think, is it right? I think that was it.
Okay.
What's the name?
Yeah, Sergeant Stone. Sergeant Stone is the new community policing supervisor. So
All right, so action on this one? First, you're gonna
That's-
talk them into it?
yep, that's still me. I just got to let's get our schedule, and then I'll be able to really sit down with them. And I like Matt's idea that, if it doesn't work out, then maybe at least, if we have questions or comments, we could just shoot them something. Or if we have a special meeting that we really need to go over some stuff, we can just invite him specially, something like that.
And just say, hey, listen, be here at 7:30 or something.
Exactly.
Just
And
like
with Zoom, they could probably do it if he's on patrol. They
Oh,
could
yeah.
pull over, do it quick or something like that. So.
He's doing a
Yeah,
buck.
the guy who used to be in charge was Corey Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah,
he used
that's-
to be, yeah.
He's
That's
still
the-
in charge of the CERT team, which would probably
Yeah.
be something you guys might use for events, but he's not the community relations guy anymore.
All right, bike friendly designation. Ron is gonna set up a subcommittee and start a review.
That's right. Ron's going to do that. Uh,
So, Ron, count me in on that. I've done, I don't know how many of them across the state. So, we need to set up, what information we need, what new information we need. So we should probably meet, really probably right after the holidays, I would think.
okay.
Ron, does
You guys-
the town supporting the bike race help you guys with points towards that?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Yep.
Okay. So what would you need from me as far as that goes? Like a letter saying what they did and how many hours they devoted to it?
We just need you on the committee. Yeah.
Matt, in lieu of you being on the committee, yes, absolutely a letter it would be fantastic. Yes.
Okay.
And literally just kind of a blurb about what it is, who it served, what its purpose is. Is it yearly? Is it ongoing? All those types of things, and we will include that in that section.
Yeah, I think we had close to almost 1,000 riders over the course of the 4 weeks last year, so that could be a big positive for you.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
we
it's
do
actually-
everything by the CJ rule, which means if there was one rider, there were actually 4. If there was one spectator, there was actually 8.
No, that's not what we do, Ron. I
Just
just count the
joking.
people who were. You didn't want to count the people that just stopped in and kept going. I said, hey, they're here. They stopped in. Even if they just stopped in to say hi, they're here.
This is an old inside joke from our bike to work tent.
Maybe if we count the spectators per lap.
There you go. I like that.
Perfect.
See, now you could say you had 10,000 bikes pass through.
Yes.
The fact that there were 4,000 passing through numerous times, well,
But I really
All right.
do think that we are showing a really nice body of work here. I've got papers all over the place with things that we're accomplishing, trying to accomplish. And, I think once we get it all down, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
All right. Do you have the old application? I sent that out a few times. Do you have that?
Well, I do, and that we can, that's
Right.
accessible on the bike friendly site, right?
Yep.
League of American Bicyclists.
Just let me know if you need it. I've got that. I've got the
Why
report
don't you send it
card.
to
I
me
sent that out
again?
a
I'm
few
sure I
times.
have it tucked away.
send that
where
to
I
you.
can't find it.
Yeah,
And-
you know what, Bruce, send it to me too. I
Yep.
may very well have it, but let's make sure I do.
All right, and also what I would do is skip over any of the demographics or stuff that you guys need for mileage, things like that. Just put that off to the side and then contact me and say, hey, look, I need these few things, and I could get those over to you. All right. If there's
Okay.
anything you need for that, maps,
Yeah,
if you need a map, something like that. All
On
right.
mileage, we might-
As a practical matter, Ron, you know, what we'll be doing in this first meeting is basically notationally, you know, putting a box where we know we need new information, right? And then divvying it up amongst all of our friends and acquaintances so we can get the information, you know?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Okay.
For mileage, I think we could probably update this stuff in the town. I don't know what the best way is for trail mapping and GIS. I know Trailforks has a ton, but it's not thorough. You know, there's a lot of the trails, like just from the bike path to Tungus Mead, you know, up on the hill. But oh shoot, you know, by Stop and Shop, the hill there.
Yeah.
You know, there's trails all over the place that may be less official than others, but it's still trails that can be counted in mileage.
If you go on our maps, we have a lot of information on our maps. We've got the winding trails maps. We have Hillstead's maps. We have we have a lot of privates and we have a lot of towns. So everything is in there.
Is
You
is the distance in there too?
I'll say most of them are. The problem is, if I recall, and Bruce, you can maybe correct me. I think a lot of it had to do with improved mileage, not dirt. They don't take any gravel paths or things like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, they do and they don't. I mean, for instance, they take single track, but they don't take, you know, an unimproved, you know, say like a land trust path.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
we'll have to parse all this internally, but again, you know,
It's bikeable,
let's go-
basically.
yeah, right. So let's just get all the data together. That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Exactly. Surveys, and I think that's all right. Here you guys go. All right, I'll send that out to everybody again, and you'll get it in a few minutes. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bruce, thanks.
Well, what's next on the list?
Where you
wait
find your
for
signs?
signage. Rose is getting
Think
price
for-
estimates and
Yeah.
present to the economic.
Yeah, what we did is we went to historic, and we went to the ADRC, which is an architectural design review committee for that intersection or for that area, and we got everybody on board with using the detail that I showed you guys, which more or less matches the light poles
Beautiful.
down. So what we do is we met with them again this week. We had a Zoom meeting again, just kind of narrowing down signs and what it's going to say. We want to keep it very, very generic. As we said, there's going to be a for the life of me, I can never remember those terms. I must be getting old. The thing you put your phone up against and it
QR
goes
code.
through.
Yeah.
QR code.
Yes,
QR.
thank you, QR code. So that it'll have a QR code there. Rose is going to work with her IT or with her the website guy, so that'll link to the Farmington. Her economic page has a map with all the businesses. So they're going to work with that with an actual location beacon saying you are here. So more or less more of a specific Google map, and then and then the signs are going to be very, very generic. We're not going to get into names. So we're talking like food, shops, and maybe first aid. You know, those kind of three basic ones. First aid being the urgent care is right there.
Mhm.
You've got CVS with Band-Aids and things like that. So it's kind of keeping it very simple. And the QR code will be more specific in terms of what the restaurants are and what the distance is. So once we get these in, they're going to be getting us, they're going to go to get a price estimate for us on these, and they'll get those over to us. Once we get those, Rose has some money available for this budget year. So we'll hopefully get those in this spring. All right, this spring or summer, whatever. It all depends on that time frame there.
Mhm.
And once those are in, that'll be the catalyst for all the others. I think
So get the
once
price
people see it,
Okay.
I think we're actually going to really see these things. We'll see it expand, and I think the next one will be the intersection at Red Oak,
Right
where
on.
you'll be sending people down to Miss Porter's, Farmington Center, that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. The only other thing I would add to
Exactly.
this conversation is, the nearest medical, which I think you just mentioned, but also because it's so close, maybe we should have a directional to the police station.
All right, how we do it? Yeah, that's kind of a go down and go right, I guess. Yeah, I guess we could. Let me talk.
Yeah,
to them. See
so
if we could do it on
Yeah, you go down a city block and a half, right, and bang a right,
and bang it
Yeah,
right,
it's-
and then we don't have a sign there though to point them that way. You know what I mean? So we'll have to figure something out there. All right, let me think about that, and I think it's not a bad idea. You know.
Yeah, I just think if we're wayfinding for, economic development, food, that kind of stuff, we really should consider safety too. I guess that's really
Yeah.
Okay.
that's really the
All right.
big three, right?
I mean, this is also a starting point too. Let's make it easy on the first couple, and then, as we see how people like it, then we could start adding more, once we get support.
And that was that was very strict when I put this together. I said, look, I don't want something custom that once you're done or once it's up, there's nothing we can do. These will be held on with brackets. So these are going to be interchangeable. We could add, we can take things away. So we have full abilities to do whatever we want after it's done. So
Cool. Do we need to get anything on the highway calendar for them to install it?
no, this is all part of the estimate. We're going to get, once we get the estimate, we're going to see what they're going to cost. Rose will be able to see what she has for funding, and then based on that, we'll get the ordering through and how long it takes. We'll coordinate if it's going to be highway or if it's going to be the sign company that installs it. It's not going to be very big. You're probably talking a 12 or 24-inch sonotube. That's about it. So
Okay, cool. Great. Looking forward to that.
yes,
water
me too.
fountains?
Everyone is. Those, and I apologize. I just looking at your thing. I was going to get you the spec, but we do have the spec. I will send that spec out to you via email. All right.
Okay.
And like I said, last I checked with Russ Arnold, I think we're looking at a spring install.
Okay.
All right.
What are those running now, Bruce? About 10 grand?
Russ told me, I want to say it was like 8. I want to say it was like 5 or 8,000. I thought is what he was saying.
Yeah, I would think it'd be more like 8 to 10 is my guess.
Yeah,
but-
I don't. Okay.
Yeah, but
It was a-
yeah. Send me the spec. I'm curious. Yeah.
Will do.
And so with that, there's a water line we could tap into, and we don't get charged and metered for that. It's small enough.
No,
that-
you will get. I think you will get a meter. It's just that we do have something already pulled off for us as part of
Okay.
when they did the work out there. They actually specifically pulled off a service. And this, as we talked, is going to be at the Oak Ridge. I call it the Oak Ridge parking lot. It'll be at the corner there. So
is the goal to get that installed May term for like the next bike season?
yes, it will be. It will be. I'll be honest with you. I don't have an exact, but I know it's going to be 2022. So it'll be the construction season 2022. I'll be vague right now because I don't have a specific date because it hasn't been ordered. So I know they were waiting to get. There were some questions. I know they talked to the company. They were even concerned because they're still new. They were having some problems with them. So we didn't want to be the first one out of the gate and have something that had to be replaced. So
Yes,
he was waiting, he was waiting on them.
So it has been ordered?
No, it hasn't. I think they were waiting for the company. So like
Okay,
I said, I was told it's going to be this year or the 2022. So
okay.
speaking of that, or not opposite of water fountain, but has anybody heard anything about the portalets? Good, bad?
Oh, you mean feedback?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
Usage.
nothing but good.
All right.
Just
Anything too many, not in the right places? Because I said this is gonna. I'll talk to Russ, but we were trying to push for this to be a yearly thing. So any feedback would be great. If we need to move them, do something different. I don't know. Were they not being cleaned enough? I don't know. Stuff like that. So if anybody
Usually
knows of
they-
anything,
Usually the companies that have those hit those once a week for cleaning.
yeah, I think we paid for twice a week is what we had done. I think because the reason being we didn't want it sitting out there in 80, 90 degree heat, during the busy time of the year. So we took a little extra care to make sure we got them pumped out a little more frequently. So, but yeah, if anyone hears anything, please just let me know and we'll move them around, do something else, do something a little bit different or something. All right.
okay. It was a great enhancement to the trail. I just have heard all positives from everyone that was always one of the biggest issues people would say, no porta potties. Well,
Right.
now you
Well,
have them.
The nice thing about the one up in Collinsville, on the way to Collinsville, the big handicapped one, is you can actually bring your bike in. So you don't have to leave your bike outside.
I think
All
that's
right.
why it's big like that. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, that's an easy place to get it grabbed. It was right by the parking lot. If your bike's out there and you're inside, wouldn't
Yeah.
That's
take
gotta be
much.
wow. Do you have to sanitize your bike after you're done?
No, you just roll it in there.
Bikes don't care.
Yeah. They don't have noses.
All right.
Complete streets.
Now, what exactly is that?
So years back, we said the town wants to have a complete streets policy. Last week, I read through the 2018 traffic study by UConn, where they hit the 5 different intersections. And we mentioned that there's a town complete streets policy. And so I was just wondering, I know we had talked about having it, and I didn't know if the town ever formalized it and said it's part of it.
Yeah,
Or-
I have that was all done.
Okay.
We just need TPZ and council. So I've got that sitting on my policy on my desk. Sorry about that.
So what does it do? It just basically a survey of the different roadways and how they're set up?
What it does is it more or less it's telling everybody, like the DOT has it as well. What it's saying that is in everything we do, be it via approvals of private and public, we constantly are thinking about bikes. Wider shoulders, narrower lanes, paths, things like that. And it kind of lists a bunch of stuff. So it's more of a feel good thing for everyone to understand and read and know that every time we're doing this, we're thinking about bikes. So
Okay, I had mentioned to CJ that I was going to send him some stuff just on feedback I'm getting from local riders that ride on our roads, and as far as the widths and some of the areas that are problems and some of the things that are good, some things that are bad. Do you guys mind if I just forward that stuff to CJ and let him deal with the council on that?
I would say, go ahead, CJ, sorry.
Yeah, I would send it to Bruce as well, so he's got it, because their department would be reporting on all that, but I'll get it through council. I mean, that's easy. Once we get TPZ, we'll get it approved to council.
Okay.
I would
'cause
say
it-
too, Matt, if you send it to all of us, we can
Yeah.
actually look at things and we could make it part of us. And if it's something that we need to advocate for, then we'll do it through this committee. That's kind of what we're
All
here
right.
for.
Yeah, so basically everybody you sent the email to tonight.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So Bruce, when do you think you can get TPZ approval?
That's been my problem. The TPZ has been so slammed with so many big projects. as you know. So I'm gonna hope for the beginning of the year, once we get the 402, the apartments over on Farmington Avenue, we're back again. So we've been doing a lot of that. So the meetings get real late at night. So I really don't want to drag them down with having to go over this at like midnight or something like that.
I
So
mean, can it
all right.
be an email over to them and say, hey, guys, please review this, and
no,
then
it's got to be during the meeting. So what I would do is put down. I'm going to put down. Let's put down the first quarter of 2022. All right.
Okay.
We'll get that taken care of at that point.
All right.
All right.
Cool, thank you.
problem.
Connectivity, Westwoods and District to the bike path.
Westwoods
So,
District.
so in other words, how to get from West District to the bike trail, there's really no safe way except for that path behind.
Yep, and that takes you down to Walnut Farms. So you get into Walnut Farms from there. And then you'd have to get from there down to the bike trail.
Yeah,
So it's either on road
well,
or it's through the woods again. I don't know if we can do that, you know?
okay, because
Let me see. Hold on.
on road, you're
Good.
taking your life in your hands.
Hold on. Let me see. Andres, do you mind if I hijack you for a second?
Yep, go for it.
All right. This is
What do you
not-
think, Matt, as far as,
I think you should consider every road in this town rideable, period.
I do,
Because
but
somebody-
my wife
somebody-
doesn't with my 5-year-old.
somebody's going to ride on them. Now, the advantage we have with all the trails we have in town is that's where people learn how to ride. But once they get enough confidence, the trails are not going to be enough. So as we said, when, constantly looking at improving the infrastructure, you need to make sure that you don't have roads that you might think are not rideable because someone's going to ride on them. And that's just the way it's going to be.
okay, now I understand what you mean because I definitely would, I have that vision too. That copper mine, any road is a potential connector. But as far as going with, let's say, your kids, your teenagers, or having kids ride back and forth to school, then we need something safer than.
Right,
then-
but be careful you don't get pigeonholed into, oh, they can ride on the sidewalk, because the sidewalk is way more dangerous than riding on Route 4.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
But-
but that's what a lot of adults think because we haven't done a great job of educating them on how to ride on a regular road.
Yep.
Well, Matt, I think we got to draw a line between adults and children. I bike to work to South Windsor, and I've gone through Hartford, and I've got no problem. I like playing in traffic. But when I take my 5-year-old, I don't feel comfortable on the shoulder of Route 4, even though it's had a lane diet and I've got a really bright flashing taillight, and I don't know many parents that are more daring than I am with biking with our kids.
Well, especially like you said, if you can't depend on the kid to ride in a straight line.
Yeah,
That's a whole different story. And
right.
the 5-year-old, you can't.
But so I mean, sidewalks help with that, but for safe routes to school, I don't know many parents that would be comfortable with their kids on the side of Route 4. Maybe 177, I don't know, but at least looking to connect the local neighborhoods to the elementary schools, especially through town right of ways. And I'm guessing that's where Bruce is looking for right now for options.
I'm looking to see what you guys, if there's another easement. I mean, once you get it, here's the path, just so you know what I was doing here.
I remember we spoke about this another time because we spoke about getting from, let's say, where I am, Lake Garda, to, let's say, the bike trail.
Yep.
Toward.
So here's West District.
Yep.
Sidewalk comes out through the back, dumps you right down into here, into Walnut Farms. All right.
Okay.
So from here, you have no way to get through the trail, which is over here, without going through private property. We do have a sliver of open space here, but the problem is when I turn on my contours, it's pretty steep. You know, look
Really?
how steep that is.
Kids love that.
I feel like I've done it. I feel like I've ridden that to the trail.
All right. Well, I mean, like I said,
I've
problem is
I've
you can
walked it.
do it unofficially, but when I go to make a formalized trail, I need to follow ADA standards. So I can't.
Oh, is a stretch of that through private, it's paved, but it's through private property?
It's
No,
not paved.
this is town open space here. This is
That's
town,
just
this
open.
is just,
Yeah.
yeah, this is open space. That's just open space. So
Hmm.
maybe you were going
260.
somewhere else.
Bruce, I wonder if you could come in there and follow the contours along the trail to get your grade so that it wouldn't be too steep.
Well, there's no room here. See this little sliver? All I have is a small little sliver of property here.
Right, but it
Everything
looks
else
like
is private.
looks like your steep grade is closer to the back of 38 and 36.
Yeah, once I get in there, but I think it's here too. Right in here. See this?
Okay.
Right, it's steep right in here as well. So the only other option is, as Ron had said, that he, you know, is do we want to get them down the Walnut Farms, and then from there
So is with ADA,
you file
is the rule,
Coppermine, Coppermine all the way down to the intersection here, and then you go to north and south. So
Yeah.
ADA, you can go as much as 8%, but only
Yep.
for a brief period of time.
okay.
So
So,
it's a grade and length formula.
okay.
well, it's a
And-
grade and a height. Yeah, it's the height. You know, 30
Yeah, so it
inches.
looks
You got to
like
have
it's
a
about
level.
10 feet of height there, looking at the contours, but
Yeah.
you know, it would be, I'm sure it would hit that 8%.
Oh,
or I can go
think it's at least,
5%.
yeah, it's at least 8%. Some of that. I walked it years ago.
Okay. So is the rule with ADA that if we can't meet ADA, you can't have anything at all?
Exactly. It can't be. It's either one for all for or nothing. You know,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
So
Okay.
it
So
wouldn't be
and like I said-
reimbursable if it wasn't ADA compliant, correct?
it's not just
Well,
that's
there's no
not
room for that.
reimbursable. It's illegal. It's illegal. You know, we can be someone who, let's say, who was handicapped could easily sue us on that and win.
Okay.
So we would either have to take it down or we'd have to find an alternate route that gets them. So
It's honestly, Bruce, it's worth walking it again just to take a look at it.
Mhm.
But it could be too steep.
all right, that's not a problem. Any volunteers who are out biking around want to take a peek at that? If not, I can swing out there. You know.
What would I be looking for? I know it's very steep because coming back up
Yeah.
it's not easy
Yeah.
to pedal back up.
Well, maybe it just means a visual, just going back down there and checking it out again. You know,
Yeah.
looking at it,
why don't
seeing
you-
what can do.
Ron, why don't you do a ride with your video? Do a video ride.
Want me to go live on Facebook?
Yes,
Okay.
we can all see your tape.
Point out some real estate.
All right, Andres, you could change over if you want.
Sure. Do you mind just going to, moving over
Oh, I
to
thought
the
I-
Midway development area?
Where?
Big Bird Bridge.
Oh,
Condos
sorry.
there. And I just want to capture what
Midway.
they had promised to do.
All right. I have a map in here. If you guys want, I can pull it up. So what their intent is, here's the Big Bird Bridge. Okay. Can you see can you see the cursor?
Yep.
There's the Farmington River Bridge. The intent is to take from here to here, which is pretty much a flat grade, is to drop this down, maintain a minimum or maximum of 5% down to a low spot point in here. Right. At this point, people will be able to either go this way
Yep.
to the bike, to the ball fields, or hop off this way and go through the midpoint development sidewalk that'll take you right through here. And then for now, it'll bump you right out to Farmington Avenue. And you'll be able to go, when this piece of property gets developed, they have to put a 10-foot path in here. So what'll happen is you'll be able to come out, you'll have a path from here. This one's already built. And then it turns into a sidewalk here, and then you're back on the road.
So that's just for access to Farmington Avenue. That's the reason they're doing that?
Well, yeah, the main part of this is one, it's, and I'll be honest with you, it is a selling point for them because you have direct access to the bike trail, but it also is a very positive for us because it now formalizes a much safer access to the ball fields. So technically everyone in the Highlands can now easily come right down on the bike trail if they wanted to
Okay.
and get right into the ball fields. That
Yeah, right.
those
I know this is weird,
Right.
but I always thought it would be really cool that rail spur line that goes to the building, if they had an ice cream stand there.
Or brewery.
if you've
I'm
ever
with you,
gone
man.
back there, it is amazing, that building, but unfortunately that has to come down. The concrete is all spalling, the reinforcement is all rusting, and that whole part of that spur is going to actually come down.
What was that, grain storage? Like, I'd love to learn more about what that building used to be.
Yep, they used to come in and then back in and dump everything right there. It's an interesting, that building is, if we ever, I always tell everyone, if it's going to be a World War III, you take your family over to that building. That building is so over-engineered. It is
So just
amazing.
don't worry about the
The
concrete falling, let's keep it.
No, on the outside, that's the bike rail part is all falling. The building itself, the columns got to be 6 feet in diameter,
Yeah,
and they flare out to like 10 feet at the top. It
Yeah.
is.
You
It is
can tell
amazing.
by the buttresses on the bottom of the building, it's strong.
Exactly, and that's all going to be a brewery. So which will be great if they do it
Wow,
if they
that's
do it
awesome.
right, you know.
Yeah,
So-
especially if they
So-
put a tap up on the trail.
so the bike path, yeah, so the bike path is gonna go along the river and then over to that little office park opposite Toro Loco.
Yes,
Green
exactly.
grass.
So you'll follow
Yep.
this,
Yep,
and then you'll come out to this area here, and then they'll be technically right now it'll just be dumping you on Farmington Avenue.
Yep.
But as part of this development here, we
Yep.
got them to build the same thing here. So
Oh,
it's
And that
great.
is that all going to be paved, or is it going to still be dirt?
What will
That trail from the bike trail over
This?
to the, yeah.
all paved? All
nice.
paved. This
Okay.
will all be paved.
and is the sand pit staying the same too? Nothing's changing with that?
There's lots of rumors I hear. I mean, there's rumors that he wants to in the next year or two that they do want to do something with it. I heard some pretty interesting rumors. I don't want it, and we'll leave it at that. So,
Sure.
but if it's done right, it could be a pretty good project. But like I said, right now they're still using it for the construction company storage. So I don't
Okay.
see anything I don't see him selling that for like another year or two.
Okay, because I know we're talking at some point about connecting over to, the back of the Mormon temple and then over to Farmington.
That was a little different. Yeah, we talked to one of them was possibly that. I mean, they don't have any interest in that now because of all the construction work. But that would be an option whenever they develop this to definitely push something and maybe along the river, do something a little nicer. But one of Bill Warner's, our former town planner's idea was to take people down here, down Melrose, and then from there, run them out down through here, down to Round Hill.
Is that town
and-
property or no?
Yep, it's all town property back here.
Okay,
So, I mean, sorry,
Oh,
sorry, I
wow.
apologize. No, sorry, that's Dunning. Everything else is town. Down through
Okay.
here,
Yep.
and come out and come down through here. Come back to the center of Farmington.
Yep.
And one of our big things that we're trying that we pushed that we need to get, that funding for the design and construction would be some kind of a trail or something along Farmington Avenue in this whole section.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be a side path. I recall talking about
Exactly.
this. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think this is doable. I really do.
I think it's one of those things that we have to design first.
Yes.
And once we design it, then as you know, Bruce, the money comes afterwards. But
Yeah,
getting
it has to be, it has to be made into a project, right?
Yes,
it-
exactly.
My
So what they call-
mantra, you know.
So
Yeah,
it's
because
all
there's,
shovel ready.
well, yeah, I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But there's construction money. That's not the problem. The problem is making it into an actual project. That's the more difficult part.
So,
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's keep the map up for this one.
all right, go ahead. Where are we now?
So let me just wrap. So there's nothing for us to do on the connectivity, or no, the connectivity is, Ron, you're gonna bike the path? Or take a look at the.
Ron's gonna
West-
video the path to Westwoods.
Yes, I am.
You go on and see him. Nice.
All right. Or West District.
While we're waiting, Bruce, if you know of any the design money out there, that'd be great. You know, if we can get a load of some of that or get an application, that would be great to at least get that started. You know?
Yeah, we're looking right now at a couple of different things that could potentially be new. You know, one of which is this new ARPA funding, which there's an opportunity, we believe, for bike ped design within that structure. And
Okay.
we're trying to get, the problem is it's really gray right now. This is federal funds. So, and I still haven't seen any legitimate, governance from the feds right now. This is new money. So we're not quite sure, but we think that, that there's a component of design in there. So as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The jug handle connection bike path to Route 4. Last note said that Rich spoke to Mike D'Amico to get a contact at the state level, and Bruce, you're going to also speak to DOT to get it on their project list. And
Yeah, so
Rich was putting a plan together.
So it's not on the project list as of yet. It's going to need, I think some town involvement to do that. But I had a very initial conversation with DOT, and they said, "Sure, we'll look at it." But they always say that, right? So,
Yeah, sure.
so it's early days yet. But I propose to be working on this. I think this is something that the town needs badly.
Yeah. And so what's our vision?
Well, first of all, the vision, I guess the overall vision is safe bike ped connectivity in that area.
Yeah.
Right. Now, where in that area is another issue, right?
Because I know that 2018 traffic study made a big deal of that at all of the intersections with
Yes.
bicycling. And so, I mean, I don't know if that carries any extra sway with the DOT.
Well, it does, because it's a project design that's in the can already. So yes, it would carry some sway with it. There's no question. Is it ultimately something that is feasible within some sort of reasonable cost strictures? That's a whole other issue, right?
Yeah. So is what we're trying to do to go from the jug handle down to Wolf Pit Road? Or like Elizabeth, make the connection there?
But keep in mind, and that's what I was telling Rich, if this sidewalk project becomes a construction project, the part of that same study, I think that I'm not sure if it's the same study, but the CROG traffic study for this area shows this signalized intersection having actually pedestrian access.
Crosswalks.
Yes.
Sure.
Crosswalks. So
Yep.
technically, the safest way would be to get you here, get you across, connect here, and then down to South Road that way. That would
That's
be your
right.
safest way.
You know, one of the
So-
issues with that particular intersection is for 30 years, that light has never been able to be tripped by a bicycle.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's-
And
That's
why-
right.
And yet the one
That's-
up the street by, by the health, just before the health center there, you can sit on that one and it'll trip fine. But this one you
Now, what do
can't.
you- you
And
mean
there's a
you mean
lot
that
of cycling
wheels?
traffic. Yeah, rolling
saying
onto
the
some, you can't get it to trip, even with, I got a steel bike and I can't get it to trip.
I don't know if those are loops or if that's infrared or a camera. I don't know.
It's not the camera, because usually the cameras will work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's definitely not a camera. I'm not quite sure. I can't recall what it is, but you're right, Matt. That's never been correct. Well, at least for bicyclists anyway.
And believe it or not, guys, there's a tremendous amount of cycling traffic that goes through that intersection both ways.
Oh, I
And
see it
through
all
the
the
center.
time. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
there
yeah.
would be more. There would be a
All right.
lot more.
That seems like a very easy DOT project for them to fix.
Whenever they upgrade the lights, I'm sure they could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
that see, ultimately, this is a signalization project.
Yeah.
And that's never easy at DOT.
Is it?
Okay.
Okay.
I wish I could say it was, but it's not.
Yeah.
You get a boatload of traffic engineers involved and a whole bunch of other issues. And
Yeah,
And
but
everyone's gonna be-
just as simple as replacing traffic sensor A with traffic sensor B and not changing timing or anything. And if the sensor gets tripped by a camera instead of a loop,
If it's that easy, if it's that easy, then I agree. Yeah, that it could be that easy. But let's see. Let's see what the problem is. So I have
yeah,
a note. I'll call up a couple people I know at DOT and see if they have any say as what if it's something easy enough that can be done as part of that now, or if it's something that has to be a part of a signal project.
my sense is that it would need, well, see, I just don't know, but it's possible because it really is a quite wide expanse that the signalization would be a problem, and you'd probably have to do one or two refuge islands
Yay,
is a guess.
great.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think what Matt is saying though is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, you're saying when there's no car there to actually trip it, you
Oh, yeah.
you guys as a bike are waiting. So it's not like you're making it for the bikes. All you're doing is trying to make it so someone, a bike can trip it if needed. If need be. 'Cause technically,
Exactly.
a bike
Exactly.
is on traffic. It should be able to trip that
Yeah.
signal. So
Yeah, because that's
And you-
that's
I
a
can
real
do.
fun light to run through with 4 lanes of traffic coming.
Oh, yeah.
gets the old adrenaline going.
Yeah, well, it helps me work on my sprint.
Okay. What else we got? Oh, sorry, I didn't see him.
All right, so that's jug handle.
Mhm.
And so Bruce, you got this one? Bruce D or Bruce C?
Well, I guess the
We'll see.
Or,
the combination
or-
of both of us, but
okay,
Yep.
certainly the initial conversation should be you, Bruce, just to see what they say about that.
Yeah.
Um,
I know the off route to Elizabeth. The guys that I talked to were like, no way. No, they were adamant, no way, because of the non-access lines. They were very adamant. So that's kind of why I've always kind of pushed away from it, saying that the DOT, I never found support from the DOT at that. So
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't, but I do think that if there's enough support within the town that we keep pushing at it. Particularly, by the way, if you do get that sidewalk, suddenly we have an impetus. We have a real impetus because we've got a connector.
that could get you access from a different neighborhood to Farmington Center. I didn't
no,
think
and then
about that.
at the same time, we also get all the hikers and Connecticut Forests and Parks with Metacomet Trail crossing there.
Yeah, and I know the CFPA
Believe-
folks
yeah.
really, really well, and they would love this. So,
Believe
know,
it or
so-
not, the jug handle work was mainly due for the hikers because the Metacomet does cut through there. They actually show the trail coming down off the hill over here,
yep,
and they
Yep.
show a
Yep.
sidewalk, and they show them crossing and getting back over here. So that's what that impetus of that whole thing is actually for.
Is that, Bruce, is that project happening?
No, it's like it's just like Bruce and I were saying. It's a start. It's a study. It's a traffic study. They come up with ideas. So that's the
Okay.
first thing. Then next thing you do is you know how to move to some kind of like 20% design, and then from there you move
Yeah.
into full blown design and construction.
Okay,
yeah.
so,
It's the old Wall Street joke. You know, it's a great idea, but you need $5 million to make it into a concept, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this study was done 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Is there anybody moving it forwards, or is this kind of just waiting it to become popular at DOT?
It's kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, the cost, as you know, they hit this intersection, they hit all the intersections.
Right,
So one of the impetuses they're working on right now is this intersection here. They're working on some grants possibly for the design of this intersection of the Talcott Notch Old Mountain Road
Yeah.
intersection.
yeah,
That whole mess in there. They're looking to do like a roundabout
right,
in this area to do something there. That's one of them. So again, it's the document is actually a living document. So you've got to move. You have to pick your battles, hit them where you can and where you can get the most support.
so this
So,
is at
like
in DOT's hands right now internally within their own process of, we're gonna keep chipping away at it slowly.
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's us too, and it's for the town to get involved and push on some parts, and we can get our own funding elsewhere. And that's what, like Bruce and I were saying,
Okay,
you and I have been talking about this for about a year, but if you don't show it and we don't have paper and we don't show what we can and can't do, and get some kind of a preliminary cost estimate attached
Yeah.
to this.
That's key. Yeah, that's right.
I need to show you, I need to sketch you up the house I want to build you. I cannot sell you a house without showing you what it looks like. So I need to get something, and that's kind of what it is. So
That's right.
And
So,
and
and I was,
go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I was being facetious, but it is an idea right now, but it is not a project.
Exactly. And unfortunately, it's an idea right here in the town of Farmington with the planning division and with the bicycle advisory committee right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't expanded out yet because,
Right.
I mean, we've talked about it, but again, it's a pretty big design. I mean, our engineering office does not have the time right now to work on that. We've got a lot of projects that they're working on right now. So it would be great if we had time or we had extra people to do something like that. So that's why I was hoping if there was a small pot of money out there, we can maybe do some simple surveying and get a preliminary design drawn up on it.
I think you guys are going to have real issues in the next year or so because with the CBAC agreement that's happening at the state, all your experienced people are going to jump ship and they're not going to replace them. We're not going to be able to get stuff done because it'll be stuck in the pipeline there for 5 years.
Well, I have to tell you guys, I mentioned this earlier, but I was invited to an internal DOT meeting, which doesn't happen very often, but I do get invited periodically. They seem to think that they need to hire between 100 and 200 new engineers and planners in this and the next current fiscal years. There aren't that many trained people in the state.
No, we got people leaving the fire academy who are great people that should stay, but they're leaving because the agreement is ending. So you're going to lose your experienced people.
Yep.
And like you said, Bruce, they're not going to be able to replace.
I don't see it. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But having said that, again, there's nothing stopping us unilaterally from trying to put this together and make it into a project.
No, it can't hurt.
And we should keep pushing. And I'll keep looking for money and chatting people up. And I know Bruce is going to do the same. So, let's see where we can push this.
so for Bruce, for other DOT projects that, when we started the bike advocacy committee, way back when, the first thing everybody mentioned was north-south on bicycles is very easy. East-west is terrible. And east-west is handled by, Route 4 and a lot of numbered state roads. And, it was easy to say that, well, there's nothing we can do. It's out of our hands, it's DOT. But other than getting the road diet, we haven't made so much progress with DOT. And so I'm wondering does it make sense to get a list of projects that affect, that we need DOT's cooperation with and, prioritize that and then, get the little ones done like the traffic light and then, push the bigger ones? Do we have a bunch of stuff? Does it make sense to get a portfolio together and say, hey, we want to get this done, this done, this done, this done. It's all Route 4. It's all the same traffic study, the same people. Can we all get it approved and make it happen easier than piecemeal? Or is piecemeal easier because it's bits and chunks?
I'll be honest with you, this sidewalk or this path, whatever you want to call it, is not going to be a DOT project. It's going to be funded. It could be funded through DOT,
Okay.
but it won't be a DOT project because DOT doesn't. I don't think we'll have any care if they get to build it. It's going to be the town pushing, the town doing the design, the town getting the funding, are filing, applying for these grants at DOT, getting the money, and then either bidding it out and building it, or now handing it over to the DOT to build it. So that's how it's going to probably end up.
DOT is concerned at a certain level with alternative transportation as it relates to point-to-point commutation and connectivity. They get that. They also get traffic flow and signalization. They get that. The problem is that a lot of the other things they don't get so well. And Bruce is exactly right. It's incumbent on the town to do a lot of the connections, I think.
Okay.
But getting across state routes, that's totally DOT.
Yeah.
And so that's where, things like, for instance, if they rev up community connectivity again, that's something where you go for a second round of grants through that program and you specifically talk about that project. And then suddenly there is in fact design money.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do this. But you're exactly right. There's nothing stopping us, and it may make a ton of sense internally here in the town to have a list of those types of projects. Yes, you're not wrong at all. That makes a ton of sense.
Are there, since this is a volunteer organization, and thanks for everybody for being here and Matt for joining. If we divide and conquer, I think we get a lot done. Just to get stuff on the board, what other things do we want to do that would need, town design, grant money, things like that? I'm thinking like the big, hairy goals that we want to do, the long-term projects. I know east-west sidewalks is a big one for CJ.
Well, east-west in Connecticut is hard. I mean, we know that. Krog is going to announce the hiring of consultants to do Bloomfield, West Hartford, maybe West Hartford, but certainly Western Hartford, and then East Hartford for the East Coast Greenway. $420,000 18-month study to try to go east-west for the East Coast Greenway. It gives you an idea, how difficult it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Farmington, has done well with, widening the lanes of Route 4. But, would Route 4 benefit from a 10-foot wide side path? Of course it would. But, not an easy thing to do.
Right.
44 in Avon through Canton up to Simsbury should have a side path. It's a death trap, that road. Currently, it doesn't. It might. They're talking about it. But it's very hard to do east-west.
And Andres, it's hard with all these projects. We have our projects, the state has theirs, and the town has other road intersections that are projects that they're working on. So
Sure.
always a sliding scale. You know, let's say we get $1 million one time. Oh, well, you know what? Let's go do the $1 million over here. You know, well,
Yeah.
now I have 15. Well, let's go slide over here. So it's
Sure.
always sliding around, and you're trying to optimize the grant for the
Right,
for
right.
the best bang of the buck we can get out of it.
Yep.
So
No, it makes perfect sense. You know, if I figure if we've got a list of, okay, here's the stuff that we want to get done, and here's our priorities, you know, maybe the number one priority gets done the next time money shows up, but the number 5 keeps getting pushed down and down and down and never gets done. But at least the number 1s and the numbers 2s get done.
oh, I agree. I mean, I think we've said that last year. We, to keep us focused, we need a list. Let's,
Yeah.
put a list, and then we could easily move that list up and down. Things get moved around in that list easy enough, but at least
Yeah.
we show this is what we need. And then we start hammering at, do like we do as a town. We do a capital improvement project. You're looking 10, 15 years down the road. And then from there, we take it and we do these small little things each year. We just nibble at it.
Sure.
And, there's another element of this too, which we haven't really discussed, but there's the court of public opinion as well. And that's kind of in CJ's, area of expertise to a certain extent, is what politically will fly of these types of projects, what politically makes sense. That's a very real concern.
Well, the thing is, I think COVID did us all a favor. It got everybody on the bike paths. I think if you propose something for a bike path, it's going to be universally, people will be happy with it now because they realize, God, if I need to get out of my house, there's one place I can go.
Matt, I mean, the signs that we're talking about, I didn't really even think about it, but COVID, our economic development coordinator, Rose Ponte, people were calling her saying, we love the trail, but we don't know where it's in these little towns, these little centers. We're like, you don't? We didn't know. And also we said, geez, let's put some signs up. And you don't think about that because we use them every day. We're in the area and stuff like that. So it takes stuff like that for you to kind of open your eyes up.
I also wonder if maybe it'd be like, the signs on the highway where maybe you get the businesses to throw you a couple bucks to put their advertising on the sign. Is that
we
doable?
talked about that and we said, you know what, that can get ugly really quick.
That's
and
true.
We felt, let's keep it very basic. Let's keep it simple, and just keep it a tasteful. We didn't want to have, people, this company giving us money for this, and the next year where he's gone and someone else wants their name on it, and it was, it was going to be.
So it's going to be like the old blue signs where it says food, hotel, gas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Have
That'll
you
work.
seen them out?
The,
Yeah, I don't know
the
if you've seen
difference
them.
on that, Matt, is that QR. The QR map that you can pull up can have that, and you could have advertisements. You could have things from the local businesses on the QR map, so you could get more.
Other than that,
detail.
just an arrow will work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but Bruce's point is correct in the sense that I think, at least initially anyway, we want to keep it simple and stupid.
Okay.
We want to direct people, but I don't think we want to personalize these too much. And I've seen it done. There's whole swaths of absolutely gorgeous trail in Florida that have signs that are literally bought and paid for by the restaurant with their logo on the sign attached to a much bigger sign. And it's got 0.14 miles to, Joe Blow's restaurant. And it's very successful. It's also incredibly time consuming for the town because every year that's an ordinance, right? That's a sign ordinance. So that sign is paid for by that restaurant every year. They send in a check or however they do it in perpetuity to keep that sign up.
Yep.
When they stop paying the check, the sign goes down.
And then there's hard feelings.
Well, yeah. I mean, within reason, I suppose. Yeah. is that doable? Yes, it is. You know, does Farmington have the bandwidth to do something like that? I'm not so sure.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
All right, Andres, how we doing here? We almost.
Good.
we-
We're trucking through here pretty good. There's not much left on my list, but CJ sidewalks.
Yes, sidewalks, that'll be, we set our strategic plan, which is basically the blueprint for what we're gonna do over the next 2 years. And we'll be going through that in January or early February at the latest. So that will be on part of the strategic plan.
Any dramatic changes there, or is that pretty much what's been talked about?
That's what's been talked about, just trying to get those sidewalks, so we have that east-west connectivity, at least via sidewalks.
Where
You
do
know,
you-
there are a
where do you
few
see the
challenging
biggest
spots in the
challenge?
funding. What's that?
Where do you see the
What's that,
biggest
Andrew?
challenge with that?
Money.
Okay, I guess that's the
Money's
comment.
always the biggest challenge. It's where we can get grant money coming in to do that. You know, we're supposed to be doing the Farmington Main Street sidewalks. That's fully with $2 million in grant money. The challenge on this sidewalk are the spots, you know, Main Street was mostly redoing sidewalks that existed. This, we've got those spots you got to get under Big Bird Bridge. That'll be a little bit of a challenge. Just before Big Bird Bridge, you've got no sidewalk and no space whatsoever. I don't know whether that's going to end up being like a boardwalk or what we're going to be able to do in there, but that's going to be a really expensive little spot in there. And then there's
Where's that?
somewhere there's big grass, just on the other side of Big Bird Bridge, where
okay.
the lake or the pond is right next to the road.
Yeah,
Oh, if we do something on that side, yeah. But like I
Right.
said, the getting back to what I was saying is that Midpoint Plaza, there'll be sidewalk from Big Bird Bridge. They're gonna put sidewalk along that whole frontage there. So we'll have sidewalk
Right.
from Big Bird Bridge all the way down to the hair salon. So that'll be great. You know, that's a big chunk. Again, you're trying to squeeze under the Big Bird Bridge again, you know? So.
And you know, you can engineer anything. I mean, you know, we've done, you know, concrete, you know, raised platforms, cantilevered structures. Just, you know, be prepared to choke on the cost. That's all.
Right. I'm just hoping for some of that big federal infrastructure money for my sidewalks.
Well, again, this goes back to some of that federal money about, you know, how it can be spent, and you know, we're waiting to hear about that. But there's gonna be money around.
Absolutely.
So, Bruce, how do you, like, when the president talks about, you know, all of these billions of dollars, how does it end up on getting to the town? Like, how do we find out about this stuff? Do we have to keep looking for it, or does it somehow find us?
Well, both. You know, there's a lump sum from a couple of these programs that's apparently going to become available. It de facto comes primarily through DOT because they're essentially the federal conduit, right?
Okay.
So ultimately, the discussion revolves around when DOT decides to advertise that there is money available, for what and to whom, and that's when the town perks up their ears and says, okay, there's X amount of money out there, you know. And one of the things that we've been parsing internally with many of the groups that I work with is how to get projects up to speed as soon as possible, because there is going to be money, and the people that have projects that are ready to go are likely going to get money, and then it's going to get harder again. This is a cycle.
So so that's where we got to get our project lists, our preliminary project proposals together.
If at all
Already,
possible, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Now there's another conduit, which is CROG.
Okay.
So CROG also has a hand in this, in the sense that because DOT has X amount of bandwidth to go out to the public, and by the public, of course, they don't mean the public, they mean the 169 fiefdoms in Connecticut, right? And CROG will be tasked with going back to DOT, just like they do with the federal TAP program, with a list of their top 10 projects amongst the 40 towns that constitute CROG. And so, and getting on that list, as you know, CJ, is a pain in the ass. But you can do it. It just takes a while. And that list, by the way, is not top 10. That list is like 50. And then what happens is, just like what Bruce said, is you go up on that list, and sometimes you go back down on that list.
Yeah.
But that's, as a practical matter, that's how it works.
Okay. So is pretty much what we can do in the town here is we get the projects together, and do we have bandwidth within the town engineering department to do this stuff, or do we need surveys? Do we have to hire companies to do it? Do we budget for that stuff, or is it kind of you try to find grants and then do it?
It all depends. I mean, like I said, it's our job. I would say it's our job to push these projects through and say that this is what we'd like to do. And then the town makes the decision of where these grants are, what projects they're going to focus on as part of the capital improvement project. From there, once it becomes a project, we then decide, do we have the manpower to do some surveying, which we probably could do some of it, and then depending on how the workload is for that year, can we do this in-house, or do we need to have this done outside? So that's kind of where that all falls through. Each project is totally different, you know what I mean, in terms of how large, how much involvement it's going to be. Like with, like I said, we don't do traffic signaling projects. So the more difficult it gets into something like that, then we may just kick it out to a consultant,
Okay. And when
So,
you say
again, that's what,
when you say the town
Good.
decides, is that the town council that decides?
yep, it's all through, it's all,
Yeah.
and CJ knows the process. It goes from the departments. We make a recommendation, town manager reviews it, and then it goes to town council.
Okay.
So,
Andrews, a lot of that is back to our strategic plan and where we set what the priority list is on our strategic plan. We'll go down the list. Obviously, the next 2 years, one of the biggest items on all of our lists is the high school, and getting that, get the shovels in the ground next summer, get that going, meet all the criteria. But beyond that, it's which other projects we want to focus on.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. So that's sidewalks. We talked about the jug handle. We talked about DOT projects. Meeting schedule.
yep,
Bruce?
that's for discussion with us here. I
Okay.
mean, what do we want to do?
I like, we were doing bi-monthly, but I was feeling it was too easy for 2 months to go by and not really keep progressing. Do folks here have the ability to do this monthly? And I'm wondering if the monthly meetings can go faster instead of bi-monthly.
I found the Thursdays really challenging, just because that happens to be the same night we do training at the fire department here in town. But other than that, I mean, it's up to you guys.
I could do Wednesday.
How are
Wednesday
Wednesdays?
actually is better for me.
I like it.
Wednesday. I've got a bunch of meetings on Wednesdays. Let's see here. Hold on. Give me a second. I've got inland wetlands meetings on Wednesdays on the
No Wednesdays.
first and third Wednesdays. No, well, no, I mean, I have it on the first and third Wednesdays.
Second Wednesday?
So, I mean, the second Wednesday I've got, let me see here, in and through, Wednesdays. The problem is that changes because it depends on holidays. So sometimes it'll go. So yeah, I mean, if you're saying once a week Wednesdays, I mean,
Once a
those
month
are,
Wednesday.
Once a
Yeah,
month.
if we
I-
tentatively do maybe second Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, why don't we target that second Wednesday, and You
And
know,
if it
Bruce,
changes, it changes.
we
Yeah.
can adjust.
All right.
Figure out.
So we want to, so is everyone in agreement once a month? And we'll shoot for the second Wednesday, you said?
Yep.
Sure.
Is 7 PM better for everybody?
It will be until summer comes around.
Then we'll just meet on the trails.
There you go.
There we go.
We'll just meet somewhere out there and go over stuff.
We can meet
So
at the
January
crosswalk.
12th, that would be.
Yeah, there you go. You could ride to one of the local restaurants.
Cool. Great. Done.
Okay, so 7 o'clock. And I'll do our normal land use meetings. We won't do anything for August, all right? We'll keep August off, so for vacations and stuff, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I know that last year we had a lot of quorum issues. So I mean, if everyone's on board and we can do this, then I don't have a problem. So
Great.
Cool.
Okay.
all right,
Do we go to the official agenda now?
that was it. I think we did it.
Well,
We did
Have
the-
fun. Let me know how that works out, Andrews.
Let me ask you guys, what was the Plainville bike study? What was the Plainville bike study?
Bruce, you want to bring that? He's our expert, or is he still there?
Me?
Yeah, what was the
Yeah, there you
Plainville
go.
bike study?
So Plainville was a gap study that was done through CROG. The consultant was VHB and FHI, I believe. 18-month project, very similar, by the way, to what they're now going to do for Bloomfield, Hartford, and East Hartford. Similar
Oh, okay.
concept.
Okay,
And essentially, it was to fill in the gaps in the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail in Plainville. And successful. And so phase 1 of Plainville is now at, I believe, 80% design. It's going to go to bid middle of next year for construction in 24. And then every year thereafter, they'll do the next phase. So 3 phases. Phase 2 is the Farmington Trail, so just inside Plainville at Northwest Drive, down to the town hall in Plainville. And then phase 3 is the center of Plainville, which is the biggest problem.
okay.
And will require the biggest amount of thought, including, by the way, the fact that the right of way is so lost in the center of Plainville that it's going to be some sort of on-road buffered facility, probably on Broad Street, and it could be a cycle track. It could be, they're talking about a lot of different designs.
Okay,
But I'll keep you all updated.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we got it all
So-
covered.
So Bruce, I just wanted to circle back. Feet are being held to the fire. I have to report back to the Farmington Valley Trails Council. As far as the cleanings beneath the pavilions, those benches being cleaned every summer, power washed or something.
Yeah, I'll talk to the highway super, and we'll make that part of the annual maintenance plan. All right, because I know they go through and they do the leaf blowing and things like that. So I'll
Okay.
add that to his maintenance plan if you
So I
can.
can, I can give her-
Hey, yeah, there's another one too, which is the Farmington Valley Trails Council would like to put another sign on the Farmington River Bridge for the Preston Reed Memorial Bridge signs. So if you
Yes.
recall, there's one on the south. They like to put one on the north side.
Yeah, that one got vandalized or something. They said they got.
Yeah,
pulled
it's
up.
long.
Who were-
It's
who was I
long
talking
gone.
to on
So,
that?
so they want to pay for
Yeah.
a replacement.
Okay.
So we need a placement where it should go, but they're looking just to essentially to replace that the sign, same sign, just on the other side, and just one of the
And what was
towns.
it mounted on? What was it mounted on?
I think we and the town put a post up.
Is the post still there?
think it
Yeah,
is.
I don't. Maybe.
I thought it was. Last I checked, I thought it was. All right.
I think there's a post there.
Yeah, Russ and I were talking with somebody a year ago about this, and I thought it was, and then we said, yeah, just go ahead. So I'll resurrect
Okay,
that email. All right.
all right. And I'll just report back to the Farmington Valley Trails Council that the town's amenable essentially. So, because we've got the money to buy that sign, we just haven't pulled the trigger on that yet.
And Ron, the other question you had from the Trails Council was talking about this bike path through the flats, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Here I am,
Mhm.
here I am pointing on my screen, and I don't have sharing. So
So
you're
the thought,
talking about
the
right
thought
here.
process was, that's the side path, through the flats, is narrow and bumpy.
Mhm.
It's perfectly usable, but could it be upgraded? And I guess that's really what the question is, Ron, right?
I talked to Russ on it. We don't have any immediate plans for it, but he definitely talked about putting it on the capital improvement plan. So starting a line item for this. So, and Andrews, getting back to what we were saying, this starts by putting a line item for it. It's now in the budget, and we will carry it through, and we'll address it at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
it's a meaningful connector in the sense that it connects not only to the Canal Heritage Trail, but also to mile zero of the Farmington River Trail. So it does make some sense for that to be improved.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping you guys would widen the road a little bit. Put some shoulders on that thing.
Can do that too. Throw it
Well,
out.
eventually, if you did that, you could make that part of the sidewalk. But
Yeah,
if
the
I could-
problem is you got power. Yeah, you got power on one side. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
Problem is
I
that's all
forgot
in the
about the
floodway.
poles. You'd have to move all the
that's all in
poles.
the floodway. That's all in the floodway too. So we have enough
Yep.
problems with the drainage there.
This is true.
Yeah, getting Eversource to move poles is an interesting concept.
So
Bruce, I've got a question for you. It's kind of a two-part. Bruce Donald. So when it snows, I know the bike path, the Greenway does not get plowed. That's how I commute to Simsbury to get over to South Windsor. If there's budget, would we ever plow half of it? And then that way it can be used for biking instead of forcing us on a road that's already a lot narrower because there's snow piles. And then
Yeah. So I'll take that piece on. Generally speaking, in rural areas and suburbia, the vast majority of the trail, the 3,000 some odd miles that we control, are not plowed.
right.
And they're not plowed mostly because of the fact that it's difficult to get a plow on the damn things.
Yeah, especially with the barriers.
Yeah, well, bollards,
Yeah.
but also curbs and a bunch of other stuff that basically, if you were to plow, you'd have to replace every spring, right? Which, even if you did folders for bollards or removable bollards, it's always a problem. So that's one thing. I will say there's a caveat to that, which is when you get into cities where it starts to become urbanized, you see two things. You see 24/7 lighting, and you see plowing. And because of the issues that you are discussing, which are that counting goes from 70% bicyclists and 30% walkers in suburban and rural to the exact opposite in urban. It goes to 70% walkers, 30% bicyclists, and suddenly you've got to plow and light it. And so that's really what the metric is.
and then I'll add, once you start plowing, it's like a road. If I was to go down your road with a plow with one plow width, as soon as the sun comes out, it starts to melt. It's going to ice up.
Icing.
And plowing turns to sanding, salting, and turns to Andres calling the town manager's office saying, that thing's a sheet of ice out there. Someone has to get out there. Someone's going to get killed. So it's
Yeah,
a
you know,
lot
one of the-
harder, I think, to
one of the
maintain
problems-
that.
Yeah, one of the problems with bike trails is that particularly the older parts have overgrowth canopy. So that the sun never quite hits them,
Yeah.
and they're just constantly an ice ball.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, if you're near any water source, can you imagine the Farmington River Watershed Association if we tried to salt or sand? Oh my God, there would be pitchforks and it would be outrageous.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, because I mean, it's especially now as things get warmer. You know, we have a snowfall, and you know it could be 6-8 inches, and if it got plowed within a few days, within a week, you'd at least have half of it more or less dry. And if you're brave enough, put studded tires on and just go to town. Versus, you know, it's pretty
Yeah.
much unusable from January through March until it.
Yep.
You know,
Well, you're not wrong. I really think what the metric ends up being is, as we get more of the Canal Heritage Trail done, and there's more through commuters, we're going to see. I'm quite convinced we're going to see parts of this trail being plowed.
so you're telling me I need to ride to work more.
Yeah, and your friends.
Metrics.
No,
Yeah.
it's just, Andrews,
for
all
Mark.
you need is a fat bike with some spikes in the tires. You'll be good.
You know what? That's a great idea.
The guys who ride fat bikes in the winter say they can ride them anywhere in the snow.
That's fantastic. I'll use that to see if I can talk my wife into it. Honey, we need another bike.
There you go.
We need
There
3
you
bikes,
go.
actually, so we can all have fat bikes.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
6 bikes is not enough.
Oh, we're past that.
X plus
Yeah.
1, right?
Yep. Yeah, the
Bikes you
5-year-old
own
already
and
got
how many you
3.
should have.
Oh no, 1, 2, 3. No, the 5-year-old's got 4 bikes now.
So I've got,
I sold 2 last year. I finally bit the
Wow.
bullet. Yeah, I did.
so I've just got one last thing, really quickly, at least for me, one last thing. The crosswalks, again, it all exploded again on social media. Am I too naive to think that having like an officer there every once in a while would maybe make people think twice to always just fly through them? Or
Are you talking about the ones
especially
with
the
the
one
warning
at
signals?
17, what's that?
Are you talking about the ones with the warning signals that actually don't mean anything?
They don't mean anything, but it doesn't matter if those are on or not. You need to stop, and it's become a really big issue
Well, it's a big
Well,
issue
I just-
everywhere. I mean,
everywhere.
there's 2 schools of thought. One of which is, if you've got the flashing lights, eventually there will be education of the motorized population, and they will realize that they shouldn't be, potentially mowing someone down, and it will eventually, and it takes longer than you think, for even locals to understand that if they see people ready to go onto the crosswalk, they have to stop.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, my experience has been, if you're there and you look at the cars, they've been stopping. They've been real polite.
Really.
And I'm not, whether the lights are
Yeah,
on or not.
So
You know what? This is great for the PD. The community officer can discuss this when he comes on. You know,
That's
what
our
they found
liaison,
and
yeah.
what
oh,
they've been doing.
that's what I
Good
would
idea.
like. Okay, cool.
So, perfect.
Yep.
All right, so for our next meeting, do we need PD? Do we need Board of Ed?
We need PD.
I'll work.
Ron, you look dreamy there.
We
Ron's dreaming of a police officer to rough around.
I want to see people pulled over, flashing lights, getting tickets. You went through the crosswalk. Maybe the 10 cars behind you will think, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do that next time because there might be a cop standing there.
Yeah, that'd be the same guy that tickets me for rolling through a stop sign.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
A
Yeah.
little different. It's a
Uh,
little different.
Oh,
Actually,
a little-
guys, I'll be talking to the PD this month because I'll be talking to him about my race. I'll mention something to him about, having somebody on the committee or available. We'll see what we can come up with. Can't hurt.
Good.
All right, gentlemen.
All right. Have a good night.
That-
Have a good Christmas.
All right.
You too, guys.
Yeah,
Close it off at
thanks
8:45.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
CJ, sounds
And
good.
happy Stew Fest, Matt.
No
And my
Stew Fest this
birthday.
year. Next year.
All
Yeah. COVID.
right, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.